Hey friends, welcome to the Astrology and More podcast with the Cosmic Owl. I'm your host, Courtney. So today I was going to go live on Facebook Live and do the free mini readings, but I'm having some technical difficulties as usual with my internet. So I'm going to be creating this video of the readings that I was going to be doing tonight on Facebook. I hope you enjoy, and I hope everyone is having an awesome week. Okay, so the first reading that I'm going to be doing is for someone born on October 25th, 1968. So we will call this person Scorpio. So this person was born at 2 degrees Scorpio, and so the sun's in Scorpio, the moon is in Sagittarius, Mercury's in Libra, and we've got Capricorn rising. So sit back because we've got a lot to talk about. Okay, so personality number wise, being born on the 25th in numerology, this is called your personality number. So this is one of the most mystical personality numbers that you can be born with, because you're going to reduce that number, the compound numbers, to a single number. And so this is a 7 personality. So the 7 personality numbers are very, this is ruled by Neptune. So there's a very strong Pisces influence with this personality number. So she's going to be attuned to all things mystical and find healing, comfort, and solace for all the hardships and trials that she's undergone in her life through the studies of numerology, astrology, the different religions, reading the lost books of the Bible, going on a spiritual quest, because being born a Scorpio is the soul's testing period. And what that means is every sign has its wisdom age that you're born with. And starting with Aries at the first of the zodiac, they start the zodiac. So these are like this is like the infant placing, and it graduates. Like Leo is the eternal teenager, and Pisces, finishing up with Pisces, is the last sign of the zodiac. But Scorpio is the hardest sign to be born under. And it's because, they have to go through so much catharsis and painful situations to cause them to shed their skin and evolve. Scorpio is a very fixed, it's a fixed energy. And so it doesn't like to change. And the nature of the Scorpio life is all about shedding their skin so that you can go into a next phase. Now, the Scorpio is represented by an M, with the glyph for the Scorpio is an M, and it's got like a little tail on it. And this is the 3-phase alchemy process for the Scorpio soul, which starts with the scorpion, and then you go into, the eagle, then the phoenix. And so this is all symbolic of this change. So in the first phase of this alchemy process, the Scorpios they push everybody away. They don't want people to get close to them because they don't want to be hurt. They want to control everything. Because Scorpio is a water sign, it feels more deeply than any other sign probably. But you would never know it because they have this external exterior around them, and they like to keep everybody at arm's length. So what happens is the Scorpio grows up and falls in love usually. And so, and there's a betrayal, and that's Scorpio comes into this life with a deep fear of being betrayed anyway, very mistrustful, and so if a Scorpio ever trusts you or trusts someone and they get betrayed, they never ever get over it, and their heart gets hardened, and there's this shell that goes up, and it's like a million times harder for them to ever trust anyone again. And so because Scorpio is the most vindictive sign of the zodiac, the need for retribution is naturally ingrained. And a lot of Scorpios feel very like they're bad people for this, because the need to retaliate. If someone crosses a Scorpio, well, most people are scared of Scorpios for this very reason, because they are going to get you back. Okay. But this is the thing, where the line in the sand with Scorpios are. So if you cross a Scorpio, you get what you got coming to you. Now, I'm on the spiritual path. I don't cross Scorpios. I know where their line is. And it's a very practical line. They are very loyal. They don't like to be betrayed. They don't like to be stabbed in the back. They're very loyal to their friends. So I mean, if you cross a Scorpio, you get what you got coming. Now, obviously, there's some very toxic Scorpios, just like with any other sign, that, are narcissists. But, the average, just normal Scorpio, I mean, that, caring person, if you cross them, I mean, you are going to get the stinger. So I don't go around crossing people's lines. So at any rate, so after you go through this heartbreak and for the Scorpio soul, and they've been betrayed, like the need to retaliate, this brooding nature sets up, and the need for revenge, and it nearly consumes them. And at the point that it's just about to, the hatred that they have inside of them, that is just consuming them and eating them alive, just at the point that it's all about to just, take the hatred's going to take them down. They end up, when they hit rock bottom is when they're at their best. So they end up like finally releasing it, and basically having this, becoming like the phoenix, and like burning themselves up and rebirthing themselves in their own ashes. So at this point, they're a lot more deeper in this phase. And then you become like the eagle. And I could be saying this backwards. It could be the eagle, then the phoenix, but I'm thinking it's the scorpion, the phoenix, then the eagle. Eagles are very symbolic and associated with Scorpios because the keen insight. Scorpios are very perceptive. They notice everything. They read and absorb energies all around them. They're taking it all in, and particularly the negative energies, the shadiness in people, what other people are trying to hide. So they're an excellent judge of character. If you have a Scorpio friend in your life and they tell you that they don't like someone or they've got a bad feeling, trust that friend, because Scorpios are one of the most psychically in tune to other people's like shadiness of any other sign. So anyway, so we have the sun here. Now, the thing about the Scorpios is they don't like change. So I love it when I see a Scorpio that has Mercury in Libra, because this is going to make them more bendable. Make their mind more bendable. The skin is going to get shed a lot easier with Mercury and Libra. But this is a very complex placing because you have your sun sign, and the sun is the conscious part of you. It is your core essence, the conscious part, like your soul essence. The moon is your subconscious, and Mercury is how you think. So basically your sun sign is your heart. And when your Mercury is in a different sign, it sets up a head-heart dilemma. It makes you very complex, and you have a harder time making decisions because it's like two different people are competing over who's driving the car. And they're two equally strong energies. Now, obviously, Libra is a cardinal sign, so it's not going to be as strong as Scorpio, but this is where the mind's at. So that this will at least consider both sides and weigh the option, and can self-reflect with this placing. Okay, so I do like that. It definitely makes the Scorpio path easier and to change and shed your skin. Now, the sun, another thing I love about this chart is that the sun and Mercury are falling in the 9th house. This is the natural Sagittarius house. This is the house of the higher mind. This is the house of law of attraction, manifestation. This is a political house. So you see a lot of politics with this place. This is the house of publishing. So the fact that Mercury is in this house is excellent for writing and getting things published. Also, when the sun is in this house, I see a lot of professors. This would be like the Joe Dispenza house as far as like the law of attraction and understanding and connecting with like the higher mind, the universal consciousness. What you see in your mind's eye, you create your reality. And that's how the law of attraction and manifestation is. So if this Scorpio understands this, that you really are the captain of your own ship, and you take control, and you, through conscious visualization and manifestation, you take control of your thoughts, because one of the worst qualities about a Scorpio is they're their own worst enemy. Why do I say that? Because you're such a controlled sign, and you want to keep everything in your control, that you expect the worst at all times. This is one of Scorpio's biggest downfalls. And let me tell you why they do this. You expect the worst, so that way you don't get caught off guard. And if you expect the worst and it turns out better, you almost feel like you got rewarded that day. Well, when you expect the worst, you're going to get the worst, because your thoughts are creating your reality. So you expect the worst, you send out this thought, And the universe starts sending things to match this thought because everything is energy. So if you can wrap your mind around that, if you can do a deep dive and study Joe Dispenza, Dr. Bruce Lipton, your life would just take off in ways that you cannot even imagine because you have a powerhouse. Scorpio is a powerhouse placing for manifestation. And I'm going to get into what some other brilliant things. Like you could be a master teacher at this, at manifestation, law of attraction, visualization, creating your own reality. Most definitely, because your moon is in Sagittarius. The moon in Sagittarius is a very happy-go-lucky placing of the moon. Now, this, like I said, the Sagittarius energy is known as this, this very lucky energy because it's over optimistic because Jupiter is ruling your moon sign. Jupiter is expansive in nature. It blows everything out of proportion and it relies on its luck like way too much. But 9 times out of 10, it's in that belief. They believe that this stuff is going to happen and that's why they're so lucky. So it's not really luck. We can learn a thing or two about the Sagittarius energy. And when your moon, which is your subconscious, it rules your mother. It's the emotional wavelength that you're on when you took your first breath. When it is in Sagittarius, this is like cha-ching, 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 cha-ching for manifestation. So I really hope that this person I'm doing the reading for is learning or understands. I would really like to see you as a teacher of the law of attraction, manifestation, the secret, and all that. You would be a master teacher at this. And your moon is falling in the 11th house. And this is the Aquarius house. This is the house of our highest hopes, wishes, dreams. This is your legacy house. This is how you change the world. This is global reach. So your moon is attuned to the cosmic consciousness, the universal consciousness, the collective unconscious, the collective consciousness. Like you're attuned to the collective. So you're ahead of your time. This is a very psychic house to have your moon placed in. And this is when you have the moon in the 11th house, this is a placing where your friends are your family. Your friends mean as much, if not more, than your own family that you were born to. So it's always important that you have good, strong, like really strong friend connections, because if your friends, if you don't have them, you feel lost. You feel, you feel like you have no purpose, no belonging, like your friends are like everything. And the moon in this house is a friend to their children too. That's one of the most important things for people with moon in the 11th house when they have their own children. It's really important for them that their kids can come to them and talk to them about anything. And that's, and they can have this open connection, open dialogue, and they're a friend to their children, and and they've got their kids' back. So another thing about moon in the 11th house, people, is they want to belong to groupthink, to like organizations, and belong to things that are, this is a very philanthropic humanitarian house, so they want to belong to organizations and things that are attributing to, raising the universal consciousness and the energies of our planet, but yet they don't like to be obligated. So once they join, they're like, what did I just do? Why are you putting pressure on me? Stop calling me. Because when you have moon in the 11th house, you have to know that there's an element of having moon in Aquarius in your chart. So moon in Aquarius, people, can be, it's very difficult to wrestle with the energies of moon in Aquarius and to balance these energies, because Aquarius is a sign of freedom. It likes to rebel. So when you tell someone with moon in the 11th house or moon in Aquarius what to do, their natural tendency is to do right the opposite. So it's very important that the person that the Scorpio is in a relationship with, that they give her plenty of freedom to develop and go on her own life journey, to develop her own, personal authenticity, find her own way in life without being told what to do. Scorpios don't like to be told what to do either way. So, okay, so moving on. So Sagittarius, the moon in Sagittarius energy is excellent for meditation. I would definitely get connected with The Secrets of the Universal Mind by Kelly Howell if you're not. Now we do have Mars and Jupiter are in a pretty tight conjunction. It's only 5 degrees apart, and it's with Pluto in this person's chart. Mars and Pluto conjunct in a chart is the ultimate survivalist placing. I mean, it can seem like there's a darkness that's always coming for you. But this is one of the things that motivates Mars, because Mars is your energy. It's how you direct your will. It's like, it's your fight or flight. It's everybody's sex drive. So unfortunately, when I see Mars conjunct Pluto, especially with the fact that it's in the eighth house, okay, of this is the Scorpio house. This is the house of power, of the occult, which just means hidden. But it's also the house, and it rules sex. But in my opinion, it's very strongly linked with when you see Mars and Pluto together in this house with sexual abuse during childhood coming from a family origin. And this would have been a secret that was covered up, skeletons in the closet that has been handed down from one generation to another generation. And so because Jupiter and Uranus are in this house, this is a person who was a black sheep of the family, who has been tasked in this life with standing up to the pedophiles in her family and the pedophile cover-uppers in her family. Jupiter is very mystical, so your healing is going to come from studying the lost books of the Bible, understanding what being on the light worker path is all about. Also through go to cafeastrology.com, order your life path report, order your personal path report. Guided meditations will help you tremendously about healing childhood trauma. Now, as a Scorpio, Scorpios do not like to do hypnosis or guided meditations because there's a fear of being programmed. Scorpios don't like to let go of control. So one of the things that you can do that came to me while I was meditating one day is you can put it on while you're up doing dishes, scanning through, doing some meaningless tasks. Don't put it on while you're driving, but while you're doing some meaningless tasks, so you can scan through it and your subconscious can let you go to sleep, where this painful trauma is stored, so it can start working on you at a subconscious level. Now, you do have Uranus in the 8th house, and I do want to say a thing or two about Uranus in the 8th house. This is a placing that is higher. You can have suicidal thoughts and compulsions with this placing. I've noticed this, that people born with Uranus in this house can, if they're under stress, they can have sudden, like, thoughts, voices even telling them to kill themselves or to commit suicide. They can have sudden compulsions to want to do it. And I do want to encourage you you can also do a guided meditation for that. And it stops the suicidal thoughts immediately. And, this isn't not anything wrong with you, but this is, the Uranus energy is unstable. So when it goes in the 8th house, when you're under stress, it can't take it anymore. It stresses everything to the max, especially when you're talking about abuses of all sorts. And so it can be a self-destructive placing if you're dealing with sexual and physical trauma from childhood, or even sexual and physical trauma in adulthood. So I do want to encourage this person I'm doing a reading for, if this resonates with you, to reach out to me and we'll do a much more deeper dive in a private manner. And I have a lot of resources that can help you. Okay, so one of the parts of your life path is you're supposed to write about the things that have happened to you. You're not going to want to do this because the Scorpio energy is very private. It keeps its cards close to its chest. You don't want to write or talk about the things that's happened to you because you know that knowledge is power, and you don't want anybody to abuse that power, abuse you through having that knowledge, to power trip on you, to make fun of you, to look at you in a different light. But I do want to encourage you. There's strength in the painful things that you've gone through. There's strength in being able to talk about it. I'll tell you a story. I didn't want to write about my own sexual abuse, and I wanted to keep that private from the Cosmic Owl limelight. But I woke up one day and I was instructed by God, the universe, my higher self, my guardian angel, to write about this. And I didn't want to do it, but I did, because my conscience, I can't go against what I'm prompted to do. So I wrote about it, and I just wrestled. I did not want to put this out there. And I finally hit post. because I was in agony. I felt like I was being ripped apart because this is personal stuff. This is embarrassing stuff. This is private stuff that I did not want put on blast. And so I didn't look at any of the comments. I didn't even see if anybody liked it. I think 12 hours had passed, and my heart was pounding out of my chest. I nervously clicked on it, the post, and it blew me away and I was so ashamed that I did not want to post it because there were so many people that commented on that post that this was the first time they had ever spoken up about being abused during childhood themselves. And I was deeply humbled. I was deeply put in my place by the universe because of my own ego. Like, I didn't want to be, embarrassed, the potential of embarrassment. And the universe and God could see that that wasn't going to happen at all, that there were people that had this trapped in them, and that I was going to be a door to help them come out and release this evil that had been buried in them. And some of these women that commented on there were in their 60s, y'all. 60s. They had carried this secret for all these years. And those are like, these kind of sexual abuse secrets are like a cancer where it just eats you away. It's like an onion, and it piles. So you have this abuse at the center of this onion, and then you have layer after layer after layer of other problems on top of the core of the onion. And so you miss the actual, what the real deal is, from drug abuse to failed relationships to having a hard time parenting your children correctly, to healthy boundaries, to being in abusive relationships, to anything. It's like a domino effect. And as you peel these layers of problems from in your adult life, that sexual abuse and trauma during childhood attributes to, as you start peeling the surface problems back, you finally get to that core, and you realize that it's toxic shame at the core, that it is like been a cancer that has ate you alive. So I was deeply ashamed, deeply humbled, and I learned a very valuable lesson, that how much power, that is the only true way to combat all the evil of sexual trauma. That's the only way you can transmute it, is to speak up about it and shine a light on it in a legit manner, in a very deep, heartfelt manner. And when you use your voice and you help raise the planetary, the battle of good and evil, so to speak, like the good part of our universal consciousness, or our collective consciousness, it raises, because it's like you shine a light on and you hold a lamp. You become like a hermit for people who are still in the dark. And once you light their world up, and you let them use your lamp, then it's like and all these little lamps are lit up everywhere, and there's healing that takes place. And that's what the world needs right now. So I very strongly want to encourage this person to write. This is going to be the gateway, and this is going to be very healing for you. It's in healing other people that you find true healing. It's when that you no longer controls you, like the hate for what happened. And the hate almost, it consumed me to the point that I've said this a million times. The hate I had for my family for allowing this to happen to me, it could have kept me warm on the coldest Alaskan night. And I found healing through my service and using my story to help other people. And so please come see me if this applies to you, which I'm fairly, 99.9% certain it does. Okay, so we have Venus and Neptune at the midheaven in this chart with Scorpio. And oddly enough, you have the exact same house systems that I do, from your ascendant to your intercepted ascendant. You have Capricorn rising. So Pluto by transit is crossed your ascendant. And this is a time of taking your power back. This is, and it can feel like a near-death experience when Pluto crosses the ascendant, because everything that has eroded your power up in, at this point, every person that did not believe in you, every person who preyed upon you, it is time to take your power back when Pluto crosses the ascendant by transit. Not everybody will undergo it, but it's a decision that you have to make. As Pluto gets closer to the ascendant on a transit, when it crosses the ascendant, you can very well have a dark night of the soul trigger. I imagine you've already had a dark night of the soul. I imagine your whole life has been kind of like a dark night of the soul. But you have a great beautiful future ahead of you, and it's definitely time of taking your power back. So I do hope that you contact me, and we can link up, and I can provide you with the resources that's going to fast track you. I had to learn everything the hard way. So anything I provide my clients is through trial and error and what worked for me. And so I have a lot of resources that can help aid in your healing. Okay, so let's see. So Mars is with Jupiter, and when Mars is with Jupiter, now I'm going to say this because this is a tight conjunction, and it's in the 8th house. This increases the sex drive. Mars and Pluto, in together is a very high sex drive, but the problem is there can be a lot of damage with these placings, and so you can stay in Persephone mode, so to speak, and you can deny your sexuality altogether, especially with Jupiter in this house. There can be a ton of guilt around this. When Mars is with Jupiter, there can be a ton of guilt around sexuality and your own body and things like that, especially having Capricorn rising. So um, I would look into body dysmorphia disorder and understanding and doing, self confidence and self love. And I've got some other resources I can provide you in that healing as well. Okay. So Jupiter and Pluto together. Now I'm going to say, there's Jupiter is the best planet to have in the 8th house, and this is a telltale sign of a natural mystic. Jupiter in the 8th house has a natural inborn bullshit detector, because the 8th house is the house of occult, of astrology, of mysticism. It's things that are hidden. And the reason that occult, it's the house of the occult, is because if everybody had access to this information, the world would have already been blown up by now. So you have to go through character tests when you have stelliums in this house. Now, I as well have Jupiter, Mars, and Pluto in my 8th house. So you're going to notice you're put in situations when you have Jupiter in this house. You're constantly having to do the right thing, and it's you getting the crappy end of the stick. And so you can go through periods with this placing where you're like, what? Why can't anything work out for me? Like, why am I always, no matter how hard I try, if it wasn't for bad luck, I'd have no luck at all. And these are building something in you over time. And this is character and integrity. And it's growing. You're going through this refinement of your soul because you're going to be put in a position to help other people. And you have to be able to give like 100% like honest, correct, unbiased advice, and be only on the side of right, only on your highest, like the highest good, committed to the truth and things like that. So it's very difficult, but Jupiter helps you when you start studying, when you figure out this calling and you do this deep dive. Jupiter in the 8th house, it helps you stay the course, because the occult, you have all these spiritual and religious topics that when you're on the mystic path, you have to study, but you also have a lot of dark black magic topics that get blended in with that. And Jupiter in this house helps you keep away from those energy, those type of negative energetic manipulations of the black magic and things like that. Anyway, so this is just a sample of this mini reading. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you all have a wonderful day and a wonderful week, and I will see you later. Bye.